This is the familiar sight and sound of protest and revolution. Corrupt government, religious discrimination, unfair land distribution. All these grievances, real or imagined, give such movements a powerful and disturbing voice. In a democratic system, they are allowed to flourish and become the rallying point of many for whom democracy is a means to an undemocratic end. This was the case in the Philippines until a year ago, when such voices were suddenly silenced. In September last year, martial law was declared. President Ferdinand Marcos suspended the constitution and took over government with the aid of the army. And yet martial law has brought social reform, peace in the streets, and overwhelming popular backing for President Marcos himself. In this issue, ECHO looks at a nation using one-man rule to achieve social justice, the Philippines. These are American graves, part of the massive investment America has put into the Philippines for a century. Here the West meets the East in a confusion of the best and the worst of both. The gap between the two is only part of the Philippines' problem. When independence came in 1946, the signs were encouraging. Growing industry, advertising, consumer goods. But the years since have not solved the workers look forward to something better. President Marcos has promised to distribute 155,000 acres of land to Philippine peasants. Up! Surprisingly, these cevadas, the cane workers, have never been militant. The young Maoist revolutionaries of Manila took up the cudgels on their behalf, but the peasants themselves remain passive. As yet, no Castro has arisen from their ranks. And it has much to do with this, a deep-rooted religious faith. For here, 90% of the population is Roman Catholic. And one of the largest landowners in the country is the church itself. Its congregations don't question its faith or its economics. The brutal Spanish conquest of the Philippines brought the Catholic Church with it, establishing this as the only Christian nation in Asia. And yet religion remains the Philippines' most contentious issue. 4 million Muslims out of a total population of 38 million are now seeking to reconstitute themselves as a separate element within the Philippines. a long history of separatism and government insensitivity towards the Muslim minority is reaping a fresh harvest of bitterness.
Makaddak na ataw kadirun makoma sa mapasang amang gulawla ku mutua dining kalilinian.
The battlefield for this insurgency is here, in the southern islands of Mindanao and Sula. Behind the apparently placid traffic, fierce fighting between Muslim and Christian has left large areas in a state of siege. It's here that the whole of the Philippines' bloodletting has been polarized. In the past year, President Marcos has committed large numbers of Filipino naval and military units to the area in attempts to stamp out the flare-up. And the guerrillas know the army is winning. They hang on with foreign help and sheer determination. The penalty for possession of a gun in the Philippines is death. But these fierce Muslim tribesmen refuse to be disarmed. As a Filipino saying has it, a Muslim would rather give you his wife than his rifle. And the tribesmen no longer fight alone. Maoist fanatics and remnants of the former People's Army, which fled the main island of Luzon, have now joined them, together with a rag-bag contingent of smugglers, pirates and adventurers from all over the Philippines. This is one of their patrols. On the run, they are looking for a new place to hide. Muslim nations elsewhere took an interest. Supplies and modern weapons are smuggled through Malaysia, and Libya contributed $5 million a year to keep it going. But it's a losing battle. The southward drift of Christian settlers into what was always Muslim territory is a major cause of the trouble, and that cannot be reversed by a few fanatics with guns. Their only satisfaction is that they are tying down considerable numbers of government troops. But more and more often, when a guerrilla unit runs from one hiding place to another, it finds the army has been there first and left their refuge in ruins. The Marcos regime has no alternative but to hang on to these islands, either by continuing the fighting or by making a political settlement, since these are the richest part of the Philippines in timber and agricultural produce. Without them, the Filipino economy would be crippled. Civil war has already cost hundreds of lives and created a refugee problem. It's estimated that more than 1 million Muslims have been displaced by the war, and many of them, as well as outposts of beleaguered Christian settlers, rely almost entirely on military airlifts for food and medical supplies. For nearly a year, both sides remained stubborn. The Muslims demanded autonomy. The government denied it to them. What was needed was a compromise. The government proposed one. Marcos offered the Muslims an arms amnesty, withdrawal of the army and massive economic aid. This, on top of his other problems, urban poverty, land reform, political control, will place a severe strain on the nation. But as a gesture of good intent, it is unquestionably generous and wise. The Philippines are still under martial law, and yet, in what appears at first to be a contradiction, it has made rapid strides away from the corrupt, unequal, chaotic society it had become 1 year ago. If President Marcos fulfills his promise to lead his people out of strife and into peaceful coexistence, he will deserve a place alongside those who founded this nation and made it a democracy.